County Regional Vocational School District School Committee. With that, I want to start with a moment of silence. As you guys know, we had lost Al Reish this past week, long-term member, I think 2008 he started with us, a veteran, just an all-around good guy. I mean, we're up here laughing about some of the Al-isms a few minutes ago, and I'm sure you guys all have your own. So with that, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance, while we're all standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fire Department regulations, notice of proper exits.
Sure, in case of an emergency, we have two exits right here. Proceed straight down the hall. If those are blocked, we can exit through this door right up here and follow the illuminated exit signs.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes, January 13th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I abstain from that one.
I have one abstention. Two abstentions. D, approval of warrants. They are passing around. And again, Leah made notes so I don't get yelled at again. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Through the chair, can I speak to the warrant?
Sure.
Through the chair, during our last policy subcommittee meeting, there was discussion about approval of the warrants. And if there's a possibility, these are pretty lengthy. The signature sheet goes around and we sign off. And to go through this and afford proper time to go through the warrants, it was asked if we can send those out electronically. So we did look into it, looking to Cindy and Leah, and we can upload them prior to the meeting on the data drive, the Dropbox.
On the box?
Yep, on the box. So you can peruse that and you don't have to be distracted looking through these to sign off on them. So those will go out beforehand so you'll have proper time to look through it. If you have any questions, you can come prepared or just ask us.
Thank you. Any other comments? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E, review of budget, year-to-date expenditure report through 1/27/25.
Sure, through the chair attaches the expenditure report showing expenses and encumbrances through January 27th. And our business manager is here if there are any questions on that.
Cindy knows I'm going to ask the question. She actually predicted it. So on textbooks, last month we transferred, I think it was $55K out of textbooks to use for other purposes, but now there's a deficit in textbooks, so I just wanted to ask about that.
So the day after the school committee meeting, one of the department heads put in a PO for, I'm back about $23,000, I think, so we will do a transfer in March to make that account balance. So there was something that we weren't aware of, so they put that in, so we will resolve that at the March meeting with transfers.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion?
Just one other thing, if I could. Just a suggestion. I think especially after some of what transpired last year from a budget perspective and whatnot, I think what we're doing here is great. It gives the committee an opportunity to review the budgets, ask questions. There is no stupid question, in my opinion, when it comes to the budget, because check and balance. On a similar note, I'm wondering, and this can be held until after we get through the FY26 budget process, but I'm wondering if it makes sense to add some level of review relative to our grants to the process as well, because we ran into some challenges with grants last year, and it might make sense for us to have some level, maybe not every month, but quarterly, to look at some grants and the expenditures out of the grants, make sure that everyone's comfortable with what's happening in that space.
I can tell you that we are still working to resolve some of those grant issues with last year, so that is the work happening, but I'm happy to figure out the best way to proceed with that and make sure that there's some transparency with our grant allocations as well.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Being none, we'll move on to correspondence, which I have none. Anne Marie, any? Okay. G, Student Advisory Committee, and Matt is not here tonight, but Kyle does have his report to share with us.
Sure. Through the chair, first off, Matt's not here because it's his birthday, so happy birthday to Matt. He submitted a report, school highlights. Hello, everyone. Sorry I could not attend this meeting, but I put together some points to just keep you in the loop of what's going on. We had Parents' Night on January 30th, where parents of the new, now freshman student body were able to meet their shop teachers, and parents were able to get an update on their children's educational process. Myself and the rest of the student council were here to help guide parents around the school to where they needed to be and on time. It was a very fun night, and it's always nice to meet some parents and see what they think of our school. We have an early release on Wednesday, February 12th for professional development, and February's winter vacation coming up on February 17th through the 21st. Additionally, Valentine's Day is soon, so make sure you don't miss out on those chocolates. On Friday, February 28th, midterm grades for third quarter will be issued. Hope everyone is doing well and the meeting goes well. Hope to see you at the next meeting. Thank you, Matt.
Excellent. I'm glad he actually left us a report because he couldn't be here, and again, happy birthday to him. Very studious. That's a valid excuse to skip, I assume. There is no old business tonight, so I will jump over to citizen participation.
Yeah, just real quick, a lot of you may know we had the working group meeting, the first one, and so like from the BPTA side, everyone was very thankful for it. We thought it went really well, and I had people lining up to be part of it in the future. So we had someone from the academic side join me, so I think next time we'll have someone from the vocational side to keep everything rounded out. But we felt heard from it, and that was the most important part, so I just want to say thanks for that.
Thank you for that, and I was going to touch base in my remarks as well, just to update the full body.
Yeah.
But thank you. Moving on to new business, A, recognitions, which is something we have added to this agenda. We're going to try and do this monthly, and again, this is our first one, but as I said the last meeting, we are going to try and get some of these groups in here for these recognitions, but this being the first, Kyle's got a pretty big list.
Yeah. So through the chair, congratulations are in order for Bay Path seniors Caden Brochu and Logan Letourneau for being selected to the T&G All-Star Super Team. They are 2 out of 23 football players from all divisions in Central Mass to be selected. Both will be honored at the Home Team Awards ceremony scheduled for June 25th at the DCU. Second, on January 28th, the boys and girls basketball teams picked up their 10th wins of the season versus St. Bernard's, earning them a spot in the MIAA Division II state tournament. Both the boys and girls teams are currently in first place of the large school state vocational tournament standings, hoping to earn the top seed in that tournament. The top 4 teams make the tournament. The girls are currently in third place of the large school Clark tournament standings. Top 8 make the tournament. And the boys are currently in 5th place of the CMAS Class B tournament standings. The top 4 make that tournament. And they're looking to crack the top 4 and get into that. Third, our AP Computer Science, which is housed in our program of Web Dev program, have received the AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award. Bay Path was recognized by the Advanced Placement Program for expanding young women's access to computer science. Bay Path is one of only 847 schools nationwide to achieve this accomplishment for our AP Computer Science Principles class. With that comes a certificate that we can put on our website and on any publications from our programming and web dev group. So congratulations to Nick, Christine, and Chris in that department. Fourth, Evening School Director Lori Douthright celebrated her last day at Bay Path on January 31st, 2025. After 26 years of service, we wish her well in her much-deserved retirement. We had a little get-together and cake for her on Thursday afternoon last week. And she touched all the bases on Friday afternoon for her last day, so that was nice. And fifth, today is the first day of National School Counseling Week. A big thank you to our guidance office, Paige Alstrom, Jen Balistracci, Jane Burnell, Megan Cloutier, Tracy Coleman, Brian Decker, Jesse Fish, Brian Richards, Lauren Rogalod, Trevor Short, and all of the Bay Path staff who help students thrive each and every day. So there's a series of recognitions that will take place this week for them. And also, I'd like to recognize their work. Last Friday, they did a Career Services Day in our library, and a whole slew of our seniors went through and learned about career pathways as well as what a career plan is, and they did a tremendous job up there. A lot of activity, volunteers, students who showed up on that.
Thank you. Any questions for Kyle regarding any of those? Okay. B, 2025 house building project update.
Through the chair, if Mr. Tripp wants to speak to this, or I can read it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we shared a pretty detailed memo with everyone here. I'll just go through it really briefly. Friday I was out at the house project, spent some time there. Carpentry was working on preparing to put the windows in, spending a little bit of time in the garage working on some framing and strapping. In terms of plumbing was working in the basement, putting in the rough plumbing to the toilets and running up to the sinks, and then the electrical was working in the rafters in the attic, running just some rough electrical. We're on track, getting out there every day, looking good.
Excellent. And then I see there's notes here about the applications for 2024.
Yep.
That's what I was gonna ask,
Yep.
about next year's.
So we're on track to present to you next year's house project at the next school committee meeting, so that will be in March.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Jim. C, award of bid for purchase and delivery of propane gas.
Through the chair, the superintendent, director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to award the purchase and delivery of propane gas to Santa Buckley Energy.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
So I saw, what is that delivery rate that was in the quote? What are we actually paying per gallon for propane?
So
Did you have a question, sorry?
what are we paying per gallon for propane?
We will be paying the 11.69 per gallon. And it goes to about 110,000 gallons a year.
So 11 cents a gallon?
No, above the sell curve
Above the
posted.
sell curve.
So
Oh,
we're
okay.
paying market price plus almost 11.7 cents.
And the next closest was over twice that,
Yeah,
Over
24
twice, yeah.
cents.
24 cents.
Any other discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. D, surplus equipment. 1, business, entrepreneurship, and marketing.
Through the chair, the superintendent, director, the vocational director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to place 134 books in good to excellent condition with values ranging from $30 to $50 each on the surplus equipment list to be disposed of according to the school committee's surplus equipment policy using the most appropriate method available.
So moved.
Second,
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
A quick question, is accounting being taken out of their curriculum? Is that why, these books, they say are in great condition? Is accounting in their curriculum now, or is it?
I'll defer to,
So through the chair, what's covered in the textbooks here is covered in the curriculum in business technology, office technology. So it'd be
They would get the
almost a
textbooks?
duplicate.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can you just refresh my memory, what do we do, how do we dispose of textbooks like that? I forget how we did that.
there's a market for them, we put them on the list for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
so somebody-
that's right, it's from 30 to 50, so they go out on the list and anybody who wants to buy it can bid on those.
If you don't get a buyer, do they, I'm just thinking of like Savers Rule, it's a organization that will buy the books, pennies on the dollar, but at least you get something back from them, if you don't, as opposed to shredding them or burning them. There's a,
Yeah, try not to burn it.
no, lack of a better expression. but-
Rocket pressure. No. But yeah, I think we'd look at those. I mean, if they're in good to excellent condition before we were to toss, we would look at donations or
Okay.
things like that.
Any other questions, comments? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. 2, metal fabrication.
Through the chair, the superintendent, director, the vocational director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to place 13 welding machines, all in fair condition, condition valued at $100 to $200 each on the surplus equipment list to be disposed of according to the school committee surplus equipment policy using the most appropriate method available.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E, appointment of district purchasing agent Cindy Schofield.
Through the chair, superintendent director recommends the school committee vote to appoint Cindy Schofield as the district purchasing agent. This item came up again, a lot of good work through the policy review that we need to appoint one annually.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. F, approval of out-of-state field trip, senior class.
Through the chair, and I want to amend this and walk on a second field trip as well.
I was going to actually add that as a separate item.
Oh, all right.
At the end, so we'll just stick with this one.
Stick with this one?
And I'll walk the other one on with H.
All right, through the chair, the superintendent, director, and the principal recommend the school committee vote to approve the senior class out-of-state field trip to High Meadow outings and events located in North Granby, Connecticut, tentatively scheduled for May 27th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. G, approval of the FY26 draft budget. Yeah, I'm going to do it with H. Yep.
All right. Through the chair, the budget subcommittee, the superintendent, director, and school business manager recommend the school committee vote to approve the FY26 draft school budget as presented.
So moved. Have a motion and a second. And again, some of you were here earlier. I don't know if there were any additional questions or if we want to have Cindy just give us a quick overview. Hold any questions?
Should we hit the highlights?
Sure.
Say that again.
You want to give the highlights on the draft budget, please?
So the FY25 budget is $29,673,203. FY26 is projected at $30,298,721. Some of the highlights are we added an instructional coach, a diesel instructor, we added vocational aid, and we are adding 10 student summer workers to do some work on the school over the summer. We also have 4 retirements this year, which will be doing the payouts from that. And then we also have added 5 seats to the freshman class, a total of 330 students. And that was primarily based on the additional diesel vocational program coming in.
Thank you. Any entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion, comments? Okay. Being none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor to approve the draft budget?
Aye.
Motion carries. I need to walk on an out-of-state field trip for plumbing, so I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to enter a motion to approve the field trip for the plumbing department to go to Leesman, located in Wildwood, Rhode Island.
Okay, I need a second to...
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to add this to the agenda. Any discussion?
Surprised the HVAC students are not going. It's heating.
Being none, call for the vote.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, so now we have item H, out-of-state field trip plumbing. Now you can use your...
Superintendent, director, the principal, and the director of career vocational technical education recommend that school committee approve the plumbing sophomore and junior classes to Weissman located in Warwick, Rhode Island on March 7th, 2025. The trip will offer students an invaluable opportunity to gain first-hand experience from a leading manufacturer of high-efficiency heating systems and renewable energy solutions.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion or comments? Because I agree the HVAC
It
could...
should just be it should be HVAC.
Yeah.
Invited too.
Through the chair, we can ask, and through the approval of it, we can say so. Right? So if you want to amend that, we can ask
Yeah, I mean,
if our
I think
HVAC
they would be
students are
beneficial too.
Yeah, I was sending a bus down.
So you'll make a motion to make an amendment to that?
Sure.
All right.
Second.
Motion and a second, so now I will call for a vote on that, unless there's any other discussion, but being, oh,
I do have, Mr. Brennan, at one time we had talked about the policy about out-of-state field trips. And I know the policies are being reviewed. Is that one that's being reviewed, or is that a possibility of making that change now while the policies are being reviewed?
I think we can look into that so that, yeah, we can definitely look into it when we get to that section of the policy review and look at why it's 30 days for out of state and weigh the merits and see if there's anything in there. You know, these are New Hampshire, Connecticut, like, not New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut.
Get rid of the
but
line, right?
I think it might exist for, like, if we're not going to Arizona or something, you know.
So
Proper
that wouldn't be a
planning.
day, that wouldn't be a day trip though.
No, no, that wouldn't be a
You know, I
field
mean,
trip,
I think,
that's true, yeah,
I think that, you know, the overnight trips are definitely something that the school committee gets to.
So maybe we could just, sorry, I didn't mean to get amended to be like day trips, overnight trips. All right, yeah, we could definitely look at that.
all right, so I have a motion and a second for the amendment to adding the offer to the HVAC students. Any other discussion relative to that? Being none, I'll call for the vote to add this as a friendly amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So now we have the full to offer it to the plumbing and HVAC students. Any other discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote before we change them. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. With that, we are going to move on to C1, report from the superintendent director.
So through the chair, I've submitted a written report and I can answer any questions.
Okay. Subcommittee reports. Audit subcommittee, Jim Caldwell's not here, but they haven't met yet. Budget subcommittee, Tim Scher.
Prior to this meeting, we met, the subcommittee voted unanimously to accept a $30,298,721 FY 26 budget.
As a draft. And the important thing to note there is that is going to be a public hearing next month, as you guys all know. That'll be prior to the meeting, I believe, at 6:15 or 6:30? 6:30. And we do need a 2/3 vote, so it's very important to do your best to attend the meeting. At that point, we will then be able to send it to the member towns, and then we'll start enrolling out there, all those appointments. All right? Building and Ground Subcommittee, met yet? Negotiation Subcommittee, Dave.
As you see in the notes, we had 2 meetings, 22nd, 29th. Happy to report that we put down and completed the UNM negotiations. The next group of negotiations is going to come with the paraprofessionals. And our first meeting is going to be on February 10th, set up the ground rules for that. So negotiation's been an ongoing process. And again, I want to thank the members of the subcommittee for their time. This has been ongoing since, for the everybody between Teachers Union and that's been over a year. So I appreciate their input and their expertise. So paraprofessionals the next, and then roll into the teachers again.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Policy Subcommittee, Peter.
Policy Subcommittee met January 17th, I believe.
14th.
14th?
14th.
Oh, thank you. And Tracy Novak continued with the updating the policies, answering questions. We're moving very quickly as we can. There's still a lot of work to do. And our next meeting is February 25th at 5:30. So we're making progress.
Thank you. Warrant Subcommittee. The warrants are available for signatures by the school committee members, as you guys know, at all these meetings. There will be the change of getting these digitally now for further review or preview. And then during the day at school, just call ahead before you come on up to make sure someone can get you in to see them. D, future business. We have as I already said, a public hearing on the fiscal year 26 budget, 6:30. And immediately following that will be a regular school committee meeting in this room. Topics for the future agenda, do what you guys have been doing. It's been great getting to Leah, Kyle, or myself, and we will do our best to accommodate. With that, I will move to remarks from the superintendent.
Through the chair, I just want to send our condolences to the Reich family for the recent passing of esteemed colleague, Reich. And I want to, again, just wish Matt a happy birthday and hope he's having a great day.
Thank you. Comments from the committee? Don?
Couple things. Could you give us an update on I saw the freshman placement and the number of students that got into their first choices and so forth, but I also heard from a couple people about there were changes made to the placement of freshmen from the exploratory program, and so are there a lot of issues going on with the new system of placing the students in their shop? Are there a lot of people? There's always going to be disappointment. There's no doubt about it. But are there other issues where students received 100 and 100 in a shop and didn't get in because of another shop's grade?
I didn't hear of any specific issues regarding, that. There are issues. We do a high placement, 80% got their first choice, which is amazing. When you think of the volume of, students in the seats we have, and then 90% got one of their top three. There are those that will, and I don't have the numbers if Mr. Tripp has them, like a fifth or fourth or sixth choice, those hit hard. And that's just, what we've looked is, that you pick, you do well, but it's hard to understand that when your student is a 90 to 100 student and they don't get one of their top four choices, but it's, you pick a shop, I'll just say I use an example because I'm inevitably going to use a real situation that somebody can deduce from, but if I had a 85 and I picked metal fab as my number one choice, but I got a 90 and electrical. If I picked electrical as my first choice, that probably would have got me in. An 85 didn't get me into my first choice because I needed an 87. Electrical was my second choice and I got a 90. Some kids, got in there with an 87, but it was my second choice, not my first. And then my third choice was, HVAC or plumbing, and I got a 90 in that, and I didn't get in. And then my fourth choice was another one that filled with first choices. Now I'm at my fifth, which, there's an opening, and I get that. So those are hard for students, and in some cases even harder for the parents to understand. We've been working with them on an individual basis, and we're offering, maybe mini explores. First things first, they go on the wait list, give us time. Stranger things have happened. Some kids have dropped out of electrical or this and that. So we're working through those, and we're trying to work individually with them and tailor something to them so that they can get a placement that they enjoy, not my fifth or sixth choice. And work with guidance too on what their career plans are, and if one fits in somewhere that will work it. But if I picked, and having done it, if I'm vet assisting, health tech,
right. But I guess my question was, is there a difference between the old system and the new system as far as the number of students who didn't get their first choice?
Yeah,
I'll defer to Mr. Tripp because I'm not that intimate with the
Starting
calculation.
out that data this weekend, specifically yesterday, comparing this year to last year. This year using the average score of all the shop programs, so 60% shop grade for exploratory, 30% related theory grade, and then 10% they lose points if they're any major discipline, whether it be in the shop area or academic. I will have that data properly mapped out probably by the end of this week. I can gladly share it with you. It was definitely some eye-opening shifts, not only in the placement in shops, and specifically one shop coming to mind had one first choice selection last year. This year they had 10. I don't know if it was in terms of the grades. That is something that I'm meeting with what we call the Exploratory Review Committee. It's a group of teachers that we put together, meeting with them Wednesday or Thursday of this week to start looking through that data with them, because just one set of eyes, I'm not going to see the whole story.
No, that's great to share that.
There's definitely a lot of data to it.
And I think in the past, we've seen reports where it broke down by shop,
Yep.
by vocational area, how many picked them first, how many picked them
I'll have that for you.
9. Okay, great. Thank you. And we can certainly wait till next month. Please don't,
Okay.
spend up all your nights working on this, Jim, for this. As long as we have it next month to discuss it. Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Don?
Sorry, yeah, one other thing. We've been doing mid-year evaluations of the superintendent in the past couple of years. Are we too late for this year to have that done? Because next month is March and we have to do them in what, May? I'm not sure if it's worth it.
I'll have to check on it personally.
Okay.
Kyle will find that out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
All set? Thank you.
Yeah, nothing to add. Great to see you all. Thank you. Pete?
My best as far as Al Reish's family. Wonderful man. He accomplished a lot. Just looking at his vocation, his service, and he'll truly be missed.
Absolutely. Al?
No objections, could I speak after everyone is finished?
Sure. George?
Yeah, I would just say the same condolences to Al's family. He was a great guy, always made me laugh. And I appreciate spending time with him both on the committee and outside of the committee at various functions. Great guy, very sorry for that loss. Congratulations to all our sports teams and even those who are achieving academically. Congratulations. I don't want to leave anyone out, but we've had some great successes lately with the sports. So just wanted to throw that in there. Happy birthday to Matt. We're really going to miss him. What a great personality and intelligent kid. It's great having him on here. And I know we'll get someone who'll fill his shoes, but I don't know that they'll be able to do it justice. Just a great kid. And then lastly, just based on what Mr. Montville was talking about and the report, the data that Jim's kind of going through, if we could put that on the agenda somewhere, that would be great, to actually look at the way that exploratory process works, the nuts and bolts of it. I've always had an issue with it. I don't know that the changes have kind of quelled my concerns, but just a for instance, what used to happen before, and I don't know if it's still happening, it sounds like it's still a possibility, is, and Kyle just went through a couple of the scenarios, but what used to happen before was you could drop from 1 all the way to 7, even if you had a 95 average across the board. So you have a 95 average, you have great discipline record, you're great academically, you name it. And you could drop, and you could lose your spot to someone who is a 70 student across the board, and that 70 student being, reason being because that's the amount of effort that they put into things. So in other words, someone comes here, puts in half effort, and gets there first, they pick electrical first, they get it, over someone who scores 95 across the board. It's a concern I had before. It's actually an argument I had before I left here. I just wanted to see that policy change. So the way I always looked at it, and I won't take up too much time here because if we could put it on the agenda, that would be great. But if we did it on a system of merit, of ranking, so the #1 student out of the whole exploratory class gets to pick the shop that they want. So he wants electrical, he gets that #1 spot. The #2 student in that list gets to pick what spot he wants. And that way, when it drops down, that #1 shop is no longer available, those top students get to pick their second shop, and they don't lose out to someone who has that 70 average for all the wrong reasons. And again, there are 70 students who are out there putting in that full effort, and I feel bad that they might drop down, but I think this year more than ever, and I just happened to take a look at the parent page, and yeah, there are a lot of really upset students, and some of them who were high achievers, and they're just not used to be dropping that low in anything. So it is kind of sad. So if we could just take a good look at that at one of the future meetings, that would be great.
Okay. I'll talk with Mr. Tripp just to make sure he's got all his data before we add it onto the agenda.
Absolutely.
So if it doesn't make next month because you had a snag or something's missing, it'll go to the next month.
Sounds great.
But I'll work with you on that. Excellent. Katie?
I just want to say I'm really happy to hear that the first meeting went very well and the teachers feel like something's moving in the right direction. I think that's really great. It's very positive. I can't wait to see what else comes from that.
Excellent. Tim?
The word to describe Al Reich was he was a character. He really was. And as my brother mentioned, his achievements in his nearly 88 years is pretty remarkable, pretty substantial. So I will miss him, we will miss him, and I'm going to encourage either Friday or Saturday attendance for those of us who can make the calling hours or the funeral. Two other items that I have. With MCAS no longer being a graduation requirement, was there any need for shifting any academic courses in that regard?
So, through the chair, not so much shifting academic courses. We have our graduation requirements. There will be a policy on the requirements for graduation that will come before the school committee. Our director of curriculum, Dr. McGuan, and the principal are working on that. There's a lot of schools doing a lot of work, a lot of schools who had a portrait of a graduate, it might be called. So it's the local's standard of what the requirements will now be. So we're reviewing what's out there, what we have, we're reviewing our curriculum, and we'll be bringing that as soon as it's available for review and approval or discussion with the board. So they're working on that. As soon as it came out, we're looking at what we have. We're in good shape with the graduation requirements as they stand, but how do we back that up and work with the state as well to ensure that the courses that they are taking are rigorous and engaging.
Okay, the other question that I have is, we're doing some shifting in marketing. Is that we're eliminating?
We did.
We did.
We did shift already.
Okay. Many schools have what is referred to as high school finance. Some of the schools have that as a requirement. Is there any, and I'm not looking necessarily right now for a requirement, but do we have anything that is offered students school-wide in that regard?
So we do have something, school-wide, no. Senior year, there is a financial math course that's offered to our students. Again, through the review of our curriculum and our schedule, we are looking at an opportunity. Right now, every course a student takes is a graduation requirement, so we have no electives. So we are looking at that through those committees to see if there's room to make changes to the schedule that would open up block periods that would allow, a financial literacy, a school-wide financial literacy, or just even taking it another step, like some career essentials that we, instead of having 23 shops teaching in a different way, that we have, one instructor or two teaching career essentials, resume, cover letters, so that's all part of the review work on the schedule as well as the course offerings. But our course programs are set for next year in terms of AP and the offerings there. But the work will continue on the scheduling and the course review. And Mr. Baggett?
You're spot on with that. Through the chair, we're having a study group now put together with multiple teachers and selected staff members to look at what we can do to provide that opportunity. We've had some great dialogue about entrepreneurship, what it looks like coming into your freshman year, financial literacy in your freshman year, setting a foundation for students who are going into career pathways and getting that done early. And a lot of different options we can do through summer reading, all different types of different ways of thinking. That it's my hope that comes out of this curriculum committee as well as the scheduling committee.
Yeah, and when we did the strategic plan, I was on Mr. Tripp's grouping, and we brought that up because we also talked driver's ed. I mean, these lessons that we don't have offered to the kids here, not that driver's ed is going to be an elective course, but just to well-round these students so that, I mean, financial literacy, you see it out there when you read the headlines, just the issues that are out there. So it'd be a hell of a great addition to something we can pack in this kid's suitcase when they leave here. Yep. Anne Marie?
That all sounds fabulous. I just wanted to send my sympathies to the Reich family. I will be attending on Friday evening, I believe. And ditto to a lot of what everybody else said.
My name's
Mary?
Alexis to the Reese family. Just to back up off of that curriculum planning is, are we looking at the MCAS remediation that I saw was still kind of a line budget? What is that going to look like now that MCAS is not a graduation requirement for the students? Is that something that you're taking a look at?
We are taking a look at that, and what is, it's not clear for everybody. It's not that it's not a requirement anymore. We still have a competency determination that we have to uphold as a school district. That's going to be coming your way as a school committee. So we have to still continue to look at the skill sets that kids need, that students need, and we have to look at how we can shore those up through those remedial offerings that we do have right now. So it wouldn't be in our best interest to abolish them. I think that we have to have them evolve, and we have to have them look to see what we can do to make them meet the need of what the state's coming out with right now.
Okay. I'll be interested in that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe?
I'll echo everyone's sentiments, warm thoughts and sympathies to Al's family. That's all I have.
Thank you. Helen?
I couldn't believe his obituary. How does somebody get all that in their life? In fact, there were some things that weren't even there. Because I worked with him when he was a counselor at RFK, when he'd be out there rounding up those wayward boys and all that sort of thing. He was truly dedicated to students, children. And I was telling Joe, and I think my husband called him the Panera Man, but that's another story.
Thank you. Dave?
Yeah, condolences to the family. I had the opportunity to go away with Al on a couple trips, and they were trips. And there's not enough time right now to recollect all those, other than to say I'm really happy I had the opportunity to meet the man, not just somebody who sits behind the desk here, behind the sign, but to actually share a beer with him and swap stories and just listen to him. It was just great. Also, compliment and thank you again to the teachers and the administrators on the phones. Thank you for keeping that policy in line and or enforcing that policy. And I know in Oxford we've had a lot of emails going back and forth in regards to, if ICE comes into the building, schools, and you sent out, and I appreciate the notification of that briefing that was given by the state. I will confess I did not have a chance to get online with that. I did start looking at the slides. And forgive me if I didn't see the school policy, but what is the school policy in regards to ICE coming into school or being at a bus stop or something of that nature?
So we'll put together, I don't know if it has to be a policy that's voted on and put into the policies and procedures manual or a practice, and we haven't met as an admin team yet to go over the literature we had from the Attorney General's office or from DESI on it, but it will follow in suit with that one main contact meaning the superintendent. So if ICE comes in, no one's to deal with that, but refer to the superintendent's office. Backup will be the principal's office if I'm not in the building. The two warrants, it has to be a judicial warrant rather than an administrative warrant. The easy tell is it's signed by a judge in a district court. The administrative comes from the Department of Homeland and Security. The court one, so there's, you can throw out the administrative one, we don't have to turn over anything. The policy is referred to superintendent's office, make the designation whether it's judicial or administrative, adhere to certain but notify our legal right away. They don't get to a child, we notify the parents or guardian of that child first and let them know, and we wait to hear back from our legal as to what they can and cannot do. You know, we don't get in any conflict with them on a judicial order on that, and we rely on that.
Judicial is pretty clear cut.
It's pretty clear cut. If you looked at the samples, I sent out the, I think the slides from the administrative one. If you look on it, they show two examples of which one is which. There's a lot going on with that, but you know, we don't reveal any FERPA, regardless of whether it's judicial or not. So it would be directory type. So with the judicial, we could confirm that they're our student here and their name, so like that. But we're going to meet in our next admin. I have all of those. We'll talk about setting up a flow chart and distributing to our teachers on that. A little more time than an urban setting here, you know, but we'll have that put together pretty quick.
And can they take the child out of school?
So it again depends on what that warrant says. If it's a federal or district judicial warrant, then
Because there's no more sanctuary.
yeah, they can't have access to the student without guardian permission. So it's a couple phone calls happening in concert to the guardian as well as to our legal saying what can we do and not do. But no, we don't immediately give access to the student.
How traumatic.
Until we go through the process.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's steps afterwards. If it's a parent who's taken out, we have to discuss who is the next guardian in place, and that we talk to some of our students on identifying those. So a few steps and processes we have to put in place.
Because in Oxford, the bus drivers, and in Worcester too, bus drivers have been ordered to drive, if they see the ice agents out, drive right by.
Yeah, take them.
Don't even stop.
I didn't see that in the
And they take the kids back to the school to be picked up by parents. But that's all it was in Oxford. All right, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, so Tim's comment about MCAS and so life skills, I'm all about life skills when kids coming out of school, right? So echo that. That's something that's really important. Financial is obviously a big one. That's great if they can learn that and learn other things. If it's we can offer it, it should be. It's elective. But Al, I mean, I've known Al since I joined the committee here several years ago. Nice man. Would have liked to have known him better, like you did. On a more personal note, but he seemed like an outstanding person. And he's the same age as my dad. So, condolences to his family.
Thank you. Now I'll go and then I'll yield to you. Does that work, or do you want to go now and I'll go after you? You'll go? All right, Al.
Well, I'd like to share with you my 60 years of friendship with Al. He got discharged out of the Navy in 1958, the same year that I went into the Air Force. When I got out of the Air Force in '66, the Vietnam era was very, very tough, and he picked up my slack, and I went on to the Webster Police Department. He was a sergeant on the police department. He taught me so many things. He was so educated. He really believed in knowledge, sharing it, doing it, and he always came forward with exceptional recommendations he was a real tough guy. When we got hit in Webster with the gangs, he was a one-man banjo. He just played every string on the book and straightened a lot of things out, taught me a lot of things. He's the one that convinced me to send my 2 sons to come here to Bay Path. He understood Bay Path probably as good, if not better, than most. I learned a lot from him, and he totally instilled in me to stay knowledgeable with my business, but stay in a high-tech frame of mind. That you have to stay one step ahead of what's coming down. You can't just do what everybody else is doing. You have to contribute, and you have to be the one that can come up with decisions that haven't even been thought of. And with that, he instilled a lot of things that put me in my business where I am right now. And my sons and my grandson graduating from Bay Path have and am part of a very exclusive business that we still have, 53 years. He put 43 years in the military. He instructed on me so many times about brother veterans and the difficulty of being so tight and locked with veterans is, as I lost my friend Bob Wilby, a Marine, and now I lose my 60-year friendship with Al, and the whole situation is the instilled pleasure that he gave me was to do the memorial here at Bay Path, which showed the reflection of all of our veterans that contribute to this school board. He was the laughter of all laughs. Whenever things were down, he always had that word that gave you a little tickle laugh. And he mainly said, laughter is the best medicine in the world. And he lived by what he stood for. He stood for what was right. And as I said, being a tough guy, he didn't mind going into a physical confrontation with somebody. And he always said to me, you always look somebody in the eye when you talk to them. And you always, as wearing that badge, keep yourself looking in their eyes, because that'll tell you what their next move is going to be. So he was really an intelligent, with 2 master degrees and a bachelor degree, and being a probation officer. He dealt with so many people, and he brought me into this whole arena of in the veterans at the American Legion 184 in Webster, where I still go, and I enjoy the friendship of being there. And he is one that I think all of us are going to miss, but I especially are going to miss his friendship. Thank you.
Thank you. I should have gone before that. How do you follow that? I wanted to say something about Al as well, and I didn't have the pleasure to have a beer with him, but sitting next to him for the 8, 10, 12 years, I can't imagine having a beer with him. So, I mean, just the Al-isms I would get, he'd be, are you kidding me? Or you can't describe it.
I ran out of paper.
I can't say them, the camera's on. So, yours are written down. But I am going to miss him. I don't sit next to him right now, but had I mean, just, as I said earlier, we were joking about some of them. Just one-of-a-kind guy. And some good news, as Nicole brought up, we did have our first working group. Went better than I expected. We allotted an hour and a half. I think we were an hour and 35 minutes, so we were really trying to press to get some things out and have good progress from it, and it sounds like, the Unit A thinks we did, so for that I'm thankful, because that was what it was all set up for, to show you that we do listen. Our plan is to originally have 3 meetings in a school year. We started in January, so we are still going to strive to get 3 this school year. We've got 2 placeholders for end of March and for mid-May. That way we're staying away from some of those vacations we've got tucked in there and the graduation. Dean and I were taking minutes. We're going to compile those, make sure we heard the same things, type it up. That way we'll have speaking points. for our next meeting. And then something that came from that meeting that to me is actually great is Dean is going to meet monthly for 15 minutes with each of the union presidents. A, to see what the goings-on are, help to keep that line of communication open, and then give us some things to foster growth on in our working group meetings. So, I mean, it's baby steps right now, but I mean, we came out running an hour and a half and it went by like that. Everything, even Dean's comments were in there. So I let every group speak, except basically for me and Bob Tremblay, we just listened. You know, we had some questions and some comments in there, but it was their turn to speak because here, that's all we do. So we're gonna keep trying to run with it. So with that, I've got nothing else, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Not all those in favor? Aye. All right, enjoy.